Welcome everyone to Life Lessons from Movies, presented by my organization, the Zen of Hollywood, and me, your host, David MacKay. In this segment, we extract life lessons from movies and then use simple and practical tips to help us improve our lives and become happier, which I believe we all desire. Okay, today's theme is how to break through our limitations. And we'll examine this theme through the good film called The Fundamentals of Caring, starring Paul Rudd, Craig Roberts, and Selena Gomez. Please know there are spoilers ahead. Okay, this film focuses on this man named Ben who's having trouble with his relationship. He lost his son, and now his wife wants a divorce, but he can't seem to give it to her, right? Because he has a fear of failing, fear of letting go of the past. And on top of that, he's retiring from his dream of being a writer and instead takes on a job as a home health care aide just to pay the bills. He doesn't have much experience, but he ends up getting this job taking care of this young man named Trevor who is wheelchair bound due to a disease. Now, Ben gets the job taking care of Trevor even though he doesn't have much experience because Trevor is a nightmare for home health care aides. So Trevor uses humor as a way to antagonize the people who take care of him because deep down inside he has this fear that he will never live a normal life, that in fact he will never love again. And so his humor is a defense mechanism. But in the long run, Ben gets Trevor to look past his defense mechanism and face his fears, right? To get out there in the world, to experience life, to get outside of his house. And he does this, right? Successfully. Eventually. And he also gets Trevor to face his fear of asking a girl out, right? To see beyond his limitations and to ask a girl out and to have a relationship. He gets Trevor to look past his fears, past his limitations, and to see that really the sky's the limit, that he can indeed live a normal life. Conversely, Trevor gets Ben to look past his own fears, right? To let go of his past, to give his wife that divorce, and to go back and go after his dream of being a writer. And that's exactly what Ben does in the end. Okay, let's talk about today's theme, how to break through our limitations so we can live the life of our dreams. That's the whole idea, to do what we really want to in our heart. Any limitations that we have are based on fear, right? One way or the other. Either we learned a fearful belief in the past, or we had a traumatic experience that led us to adopt a fearful belief about ourselves. Either way, whether it was something told to us or whether it was a traumatic experience, they're all traumatic experiences. It's all based on trauma. Because anytime that we adopt a fear that goes against our true nature, which is our loving nature, that's a traumatic experience. Let's say, for example, that I have a limitation that keeps me from achieving my dreams. Well, that limitation is based in fear. The fearful belief told to me by my father, for example, that going after your dreams is selfish. But that limitation may also be based on a traumatic experience. For example, I tried to do something in the past when I was a child, and my parents told me that I could never do anything right, that I would never amount to anything. So I internalized that fear and made it a part of me. So when it comes to breaking through our limitations, let's go through this step by step. Number one, we need to take a look at our limitations and identify the fears underneath. Take a look at those fears, write them down. What are those fears? Is it fear of rejection, fear of failure? Whatever it is, write it down and then make a list of the positives and negatives. That is, the things that you gain from it, the advantages, as well as the disadvantages and the pain and suffering that you might be experiencing. We need to understand that we're gaining something by holding on to this fear. Otherwise, we wouldn't hold on to it. We would have moved through it. Then take a look at your list and make sure that you can see that the pain, the suffering that you're experiencing outweighs any benefits that you're gaining from it. This is very important. Step number two is put yourself in the middle of your limitation. Take a look at the last time you tried to do something that you were held back by your limitations and fear came up, right? Re-experience that fear and ask yourself, when was the first time that this happened? Let that answer come to you. Don't force it. And when it does, you can go back in time in your mind and identify the time when you adopted that fear, whether it was something told to you by somebody else or it was an actual event that made you fearful, right? Which you adopted for yourself. What you can then do is you can go back in time in your mind to that particular event and you can challenge it, right? You can experience that fear as well as any shame or guilt or hurt that you experienced, anger, right? And you can release those emotions. Then you can bring in a positive message, the message you didn't hear at that time, and replace that negative message that you heard from somebody else. Basically, what you're doing is that you're reparenting yourself so that you alter that experience so that that fear no longer holds that energetic value that it does in the present moment. Make sure you repeat that message over and over again so that your wounded, fearful self is no longer in fear. And over time, what happens is that you're no longer fearful in the present moment. Now, what you can do is take a look at the steps that you need to take to move through that limitation and achieve your goal, right? But take it step by step. Quite often, we take a look at conquering our fears as if we were conquering Mount Everest, that it has to be this giant leap. And this is just abusive, right? It's unfair to ourselves. We really need to break it down into smaller steps because once we do, we realize it's so much easier to move through that fear. Just take it step by step. So identify what that first step is, and then when you feel a little bit of that fear, which will still be there, tell yourself that that's a good sign, right? That the universe is telling you that you're on the right track, right? To move through your fear and go towards your dream, your goal, to live the life that you truly desire. This is what the universe wants for us. The universe is on our side. It wants us to move through our fears and to expand and to achieve our goals because this is exactly how the universe expands. The universe expands through us. Make sure that every time that you accomplish a step on the way to your goal, that you give yourself positive feedback, that you give yourself praise. Good job. Wow, that was well done. Because this positively reinforces that behavior so that you'll do it again and again. Okay, what did you see as a major life lesson? I would love to hear from you in comments below. And for more movies, tips, and life lessons, please go to my website, thezenofhollywood.com. That's thezenofhollywood.com. And please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.